The spiritual side of sales. Now, before you click this video off and think, hey man, just teach me to make more money, this is it. This is what allowed me to make $100,000 per month in commissions as a salesperson. And you've probably heard the saying, you don't know what you don't know. And so if you've never watched a training, if you've never dove into the spiritual side of selling, is it at all possible that maybe the reason that you're not making the money that you would like to be making is because this is a key area of your sales profession that you have not explored? So in this video, I'm going to break down specifically how the spiritual side of sales works, how it allowed me to make over $100,000 per month in commissions, and then how you need to be thinking and how you need to be operating so that you can implement this into your sales career so that, yes, you can make more money. Now, you're probably thinking, is it spiritual to be focused on money? Well, maybe not if you look at it from a point of dollar bills or numbers in your bank account. But as I'm going to show you, this is not about chasing the money. It's about understanding how the spiritual world works and putting that into your daily operations as a salesperson. And inevitably, that is going to make you more money. In other words, there is not a conflict of interest between you being a better closer and helping more people and you just having the ability to attract and generate more money into your bank account. I'll say it again before we kick off. The spiritual side of sales is not a woo-woo, some law of attraction type of BS that you're going to sit there cross-legged, meditating, listening to some Zen Buddha music. This is literally how you make yourself more money. So let's dive in. The first thing to understand with the spiritual side of sales is the key difference between the spiritual side of selling and the non-spiritual side of selling. The non-spiritual side of selling is where someone views the sales process as a sequence of activities or actions that take place right here, right now, on this sales call with this prospect. In other words, what do I need to do on this call to have a higher chance of closing this prospect? It's very linear and it's in a silo, and that is the biggest difference compared to the spiritual side of selling, which is this. The spiritual side of selling is not what do I need to do right now for this moment right now to have a higher chance of closing this prospect right now. It is what actions do I need to be taking at any moment so that I have a higher chance of closing any prospect, and actually I get more qualified prospects that want to buy from me. In other words, we're not looking at linear time. We're looking at the universal time, all time, the past, the present, the future. It's all happening at the same time. Second thing is we're not looking at this prospect. We're looking at our entire prospect database, our entire pool of potential people that could be enrolling with us right now or could be enrolling with us in the future. And we're even thinking about the prospects who have enrolled with us in the past. So let's break down a simple example so that I can show you where you are leaking money in your sales process by not understanding and implementing the spiritual side of sales. So usually, probably you get on the phone with a prospect and you're thinking, what actions do I take on this sales call to close this prospect right now and have the highest chance of doing that? That may lead you to be attached to the sale. It may lead you to be pushy on the closing part of the sales call. It may even lead you to saying things that are just simply not true in the discovery or in the pitch to try and push someone over the line. Now let's take an extreme example. Let's say that you are attached to the sale, you are pushy, and you basically say whatever it is that you could say to push that person over the line. And let's just imagine it works. You get that person to buy. Maybe it's a paid in full. They buy, they say, hey, thanks very much. I'm going into the program. And maybe they become a great prospect. Maybe they become a great client. Within the silo, which is the linear version of sales, the non-spiritual side of sales, you made a sale. Potentially you made a sale that you might not have made. So if we look at the numbers as 1 for 1, you are up. You've closed 1 for 1. But what happens? When we look at the bigger picture, what we could call the all-seeing eye, you can call it God, it can be whatever deity you believe in, that decision that you made on the call to be pushy, to be attached, and to basically just lie through your teeth to close the deal, it sends a frequency out into the universe. And whether you want to believe it right now or not, if you don't choose to believe this right now, it's going to cost you money. But if you do choose to believe it, it will allow you the opportunity to make more money. And that is this. That frequency, that signal that you send out to the universe, it is going to go out to all of the prospects that were booked on your calendar for the rest of the week. And those prospects, again, whether you believe it or not right now, they change. They end up coming to your sales call more interested in what you have to say, more interested in opening up to you, more interested in actually going through your process of buying from you and becoming a client. And you think, well, Josh, that's just not linear. How can how I treated one prospect affect prospects that don't even know each other? How is that possible? Well, that's because the spiritual side of sales knows no time and it knows no distance. In other words, it doesn't matter if something's very far away or something's in the future. What you choose to do in this place, in this time, will influence it. If you wanted to dive deeper into this, you can read quantum physics, but I don't recommend that you read quantum physics because it is as simple as I'm breaking down for you in this video, and I want to give you the bare bones nuts and bolts so that you can go away and you can make more money. So that's one example. You treat a prospect in a way that is not high consciousness, in other words, being authentic, being honest, being detached, and just wanting what's best for the prospect. And because you treated that one prospect in that way right now, your future prospects will be different. The probability that they turn up to the sales call will be less. The probability that if they turn up to the sales call that they're qualified will be less. The probability that if they turn up to the sales call and they're qualified, that they actually open up to you will be less. And this happens in two different ways. Number one is because you've sent out that frequency, you've sent out that vibration, and you attract the frequency that you send out. So you'll attract prospects that are, quite frankly, assholes. But also, when you're now back in the moment, talking about in real time with the next prospect, you emit a vibe, kind of a vibe of like, yeah, I'll just do whatever it takes to close the deal. I'll push, I'll be attached, I'll lie, whatever it takes. And your prospect in real time, in that moment, will feel something. For some prospects, it will be conscious. For some prospects, it will be unconscious. But either way, they will feel something that will change or severely impact negatively their decision to buy from you right now. So that's one example. How you treat one prospect is going to affect all of your other prospects. That is one example of the spiritual side of sales. Let me give you another one. Another one is how you behave outside of sales is going to affect the results that you start getting inside of sales. In other words, there is no delineation between your personal life and your professional life. And if you imagine how big of a two parts of your life those two things are, and specifically the part of your life that's your personal life, maybe that's 80% of your life, and the actual selling part is 20% of your life, maybe by hours, maybe by attention. If I'm telling you, and you choose to believe, or do your own research, as they say, that your personal life is going to impact your professional life, and that personal life is 80% of your entire life, and your sales life is 20%, how large of an impact is that having on everything that you experience as a salesperson? Give you an example. If you choose to live in a shit house or a small apartment because you're afraid of investing in yourself, you're afraid of leveling up, or you just tell yourself, hey, you know what, man, this will do. This is fine. I don't need a nicer place. You might think those choices and those decisions don't impact a prospect that has no idea where you fucking live. And you would be mistaken. And that ignorance, that willful blindness that I am now removing you from being able to say, oh, hey man, I just didn't know. I'm removing you from that ignorance of saying these things just aren't part of my sales process. No, you need to zoom out and see the holistic terrain for what it actually is, which is every decision you make for every prospect affects every other prospect, and every decision you make in every aspect of your personal life also affects every aspect of your professional life. So the key modus operandi that you should be living, whether you're talking to one prospect or another prospect, doing something in your personal life or doing something in your professional life, is what we call self-actualized selling. Self-actualized selling, which means the self-actualized is me, my life. Am I actualizing? In other words, am I getting better? Am I evolving? Am I leveling up? Am I pushing myself to grow? That is what we teach inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, not because it's a cool catchphrase or not because we want to teach people about spirituality, but because we want to teach salespeople and closers how to make as much money as possible. And the way to make as much money as possible is to become the best version of yourself, which means when you're on a call with one prospect and you just think, you know what, I actually don't think this person should buy, or I don't think this person should buy right now. I'm actually going to tell them, hey, we are not aligned, and because of that, I have no offer to make you. Making that decision, being able to make that decision, being focused on self-actualizing enough to make that decision might lose you one sale right now, but it will return to you 10 times more positiveness or benefits in the way of other prospects, or it might bleed out the other direction and go from you did something right in sales in your professional life, and that's going to have an impact in your personal life. Maybe something with your friends or your family or a romantic partner just suddenly improves. Everything is holistic. Everything is connected. And the spiritual side of sales, the fact that everything is connected, is what I personally found the most thrilling. It was the idea that, you know what, I can make money in my profession by focusing on everything outside of my profession as much, if not more, than just the sales skills or just the sales tactics. In other words, I wasn't in that doomed situation that most people are in where they're like, I'm working on my career, I'm working on my profession, but I'm not growing as a person. I'm not expanding, I'm not exploring, I'm not adventuring into new realms. And for me, selling was this unbelievably unavoidable gift of, wow, if I actually realized, which my mentor taught me, that everything is connected, I now have to, and I get to, which is a key phrase. It's not I have to, it's wow, I get to do this. I get to work on myself. I get to work on my beliefs. I get to work on my mindset. I get to work on my physical health. I get to work on my daily activities, my habits and my routines. I get to work on my personal friendships. I get to work on my personal relationships. I get to work on my relationship with my family. I get to work on everything because my professional and personal life are interconnected. So the spiritual side of sales is something that if you truly want to make as much money as possible, you cannot view the spiritual side of sales as some woo-woo meditation, Joe Dispenza law of attraction type of stuff that you read in a book. You should view it as the central grounding foundation of your sales career, which is everything I do, every choice, every decision, whether I'm on a sales call with one prospect on a sales call with another prospect, or doing something in my personal life, I need to make the best possible decision. That is why inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, the first thing we teach is the internal mastery, which is your state, your emotions, which is your goals, your direction, your vision, your mission. It's your health. It's your habits and routines. It's your beliefs. It's your environment. It's all of the things that make up you as a person, who you are and how you operate in life. Because all of those things are going to send messages to the universe, which is also plugged in to all of your prospects that you have right now on your calendar and will have forever in the future on your calendar. So, all of that to say, if you want to make more money, self-actualized selling is the only way to maximize your money. Because if the alternative is you take every single individual sales call and just focus on what do I need to do on this sales call to close the deal, ignoring the very harsh reality that every decision you make in a silo, in one sales call, the 30-minute discovery or the 45-minute entire call, is going to bleed out into every other part of your life, and every decision you make in your personal life is going to bleed into every single lead and sales call and person that you end up interacting with. So this is why we teach this inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, because as I said, everything is connected. So the spiritual side of sales, if you want to tap into that so that not only do you get to become your own hero on your own hero's journey, becoming the best version of yourself, but you also get to make as much money as possible in the process, then inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, we have the environment, which focuses on this, where a lot of other environments do not focus on this. They view it as not necessary. Maybe the trainer just doesn't understand it. Maybe the trainer doesn't have the experience of, wow, you know what? I wouldn't have made $100,000 if I didn't implement this into my life. And I'll give you an example of that here in a minute. We have the environment. We have the other members that are all engaging with each other to work on their spiritual side of selling, which is how do they make every decision in their life. We also then have the training on this. We have live trainings with me. We have trainings with my mentor, the guy responsible for teaching me everything I know about sales, which includes everything I know about life. For example, the spiritual side of life. I said I would give you an example. And as I give you this example, you may have had something similar in your life, but this could well be the first time that you've connected it to the spiritual side of selling. There's times where, as a salesperson, I had very low lead flow. And there were times when I had low lead flow and I just became a sloth. I just stopped doing my exercises. I stopped doing my reading. I stopped doing the other things in my life because I just got lazy, quite frankly, and I allowed myself to get into this vicious cycle. And what happened? My leads stayed low, and I wasn't closing deals because I had very few leads and I wasn't making any money. And then all of a sudden, my mentor would call me the fuck out on what I'm doing and remind me that those non-sales behaviors were continuing to bleed into my sales, which, by the way, I was the first one to say, I don't get it. That just doesn't make sense. How does whether I go to the gym, how does that affect my lead flow? Like that's just the business owner and the marketing that affects my lead flow. And he showed me by way of osmosis, which is being around someone that is able to show you how this works, but also by having a mentor, which means someone that says, actually, no, try this. You do it and you go, oh, stupid me, I was wrong. So my mentor would turn around and tell me, pick yourself up, put your life back together. And I would do that. And like clockwork, all of a sudden I'd get a message from the business owner, hey, we're trying this or we're doing this. And boom, my calendar would fill back up. And I'd like, the first few times I was like, I'm still a little bit skeptical here, but I cannot deny that this is working. Let me give you another example. There were times where I had a prospect on the phone that was telling me they really want to buy, but they had other things in the discovery that was telling me they're just not going to be successful. They're not truly committed. They're making excuses. Maybe their timing wasn't right for them. But yet they were still telling me, hey, man, pitch me. Tell me what you've got going on. I want to buy. I'm ready. I've got my credit card. And unlike a lot of closers, I wasn't desperate for that money. I was desperate to make the right decisions in the here and now, knowing what's called the butterfly effect or a cascading effect, that this was going to have a massive impact on every other part of my sales life and every other part of my professional life. And I would say no to this prospect or these prospects that were just not going to be successful. And the very next day, I'd have a calendar of calls. I'd turn up to my calls and they would be the easiest lay down sales that I'd ever had, comparatively different to that previous day, that previous week, that previous month. I would wake up and have a day or even a few days of like, wow, everyone just turned up to the call. My show rate was higher. They all closed and they all paid in full. Now, when I say all, just to be 100% accurate, I mean compared to the numbers before. I'm not saying everyone was paid in full, but it was a notable difference that by making one right decision in something that was seemingly disconnected, I then had all of these other leads that would just close. That's another example. I remember another one where my show rate was down. I spoke to my mentor. I said, hey, my show rate is down. And he sent me a message and he said, clean your bathroom. And I was like, clean my bathroom? Number one, how do you know my bathroom is messy? And number two, how is my bathroom connected to my show rate? And he said something, to paraphrase, something to the effect of, I know your bathroom is messy because you're slipping up on other little things. By little things, he meant I wasn't putting in my commissions into my tracker. I wasn't doing my end of day reports to him. I was just slacking in the admin, the details. And he was correct. I was slacking in those things. Therefore, I was slacking in my personal life. See how they're connected. My bathroom was messy. And my bathroom was messy. That was sending a message to the universe. Hey, God, or whatever you believe in, I don't think you should send me these prospects whose life is on the line, that are entrusting me to run a great discovery on them so that I can close them into an offer that's going to help them get out of a stuck situation, because I'm not even getting myself out of a stuck situation. In fact, I'm making my own life worse for myself. And so I cleaned my bathroom. I started putting my admin back together, and boom, my show rate went up and my calls started turning up. And it's like, I could go on and on and on about examples that I've had from the first day I started sales, and I was obviously making $0 in commission. I had no previous sales background, by the way. And 18 months later, I was making over $100,000 per month in commission. The difference between those 2 points was a number, probably 20, 30, 40, 50 micro spiritual side of sales examples where I didn't see the connection. I denied it. I was oblivious to it. I was ignorant to it, of the connection between how everything is connected in the spiritual side of sales. And every time I learned another connection, my bathroom being messy is connected to my no-show rate. Or it might not be no-show rate for you, or it might be something different for someone else. But one thing that's internal in your life is going to be connected to something that's external in your sales life. So it could be you don't clean your bathroom, and then you get prospects that are, know-it-alls. Hey, things are totally fine. I don't really need to do this. And you know those prospects. You've had those ones. And over the 17 months, to be exact, from $0 to over $100,000 a month in commission, I had to learn a number of these spiritual connections. And every single time I did, my commissions went up, I made more money, sales became easier for me, selling became easier, and I was becoming more of a person as I was equipping myself with each of these individual lessons. Imagine the guy that I was before my mentor called me out and said, clean your fucking bathroom was the type of guy that had a clean bathroom sometimes, and sometimes I let it slip. After I learned that lesson, I no longer let my bathroom be messy, which you might be thinking, is that a big deal? Well, if you add up 100 little things like having a clean bathroom, turning up on time to places, spending time with your parents, holding boundaries, whatever it is, there's an infinite number of these smaller little signature moments that add up, and that is your character. Your character is just the sum of the parts of your actions, the way you behave in life. And so I was able to make more money. Selling became a lot easier when I realized, my no-show rate is because I'm not actually cleaning my bathroom, or I'm getting prospects that don't want to open up to me because I'm the type of person that isn't looking myself in the mirror and admitting that I'm not putting in the work for my sales training, doing my call reviews, or, I'm ignoring my mentor, or whatever it is. Every single time I learned one of these lessons, I became a better version of myself. So that's what we call self-actualized selling, becoming a better, higher version of yourself in the process of a sales career so that you make more money. Selling becomes a lot easier because you're not pushing a boulder up a hill or pushing positively in one direction, but in another part of your life, you're literally counteracting that with other actions and choices. And as I said, I was able to actually evolve as a person. So let me ask you a question. Why did you get into sales? Did you get in sales to make average income? No, that's probably why you left your previous job. Did you get into sales for it to be really difficult and feel like it's 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back? Probably not. You probably got into high ticket selling because you wanted freedom. You wanted control of your life. You wanted to feel like, wow, my life is moving forward, not forward, backwards, forward, backwards. And this is a curveball question. Did you get in sales just because you wanted to make more money? Or did you get into sales because you thought, you know what, I want to be somewhat of an entrepreneur, someone that's actually in a make money situation where I do actually have to take personal responsibility. Most salespeople that I know, especially all of the ones that come into the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, they truly wanted to self-actualize. They wanted to do personal development. They wanted to become a better version of themselves. If you want those 3 things, to make more money, to enjoy selling because it's actually not that difficult, and to become more as a person in the process, you must implement what I'm teaching you, which is the spiritual side of selling. So in conclusion, let me tell you the number one easiest way to implement this: to be around a group of other people that are all implementing this. You've heard it before. You're the average of the people that you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with people that make an average income in sales and they don't focus on the other things outside of their selling career, in other words, they don't care about having a dirty bathroom, they don't care about how they treat other people, they don't care about their health, they don't care about going to the gym, whatever it is, the likelihood is you're going to become the same as those people around you. Average at sales and average at best in the other areas of life. If you're in an environment and you actually put in the fucking work and you spend time, enough time in that environment, and you listen to the mentors in that environment of people that do want to focus on the entire holistic, big picture, spiritual side of sales, then what is the probability that you actually become more like that yourself? It's extremely high. In fact, I would argue that it's inevitable. Unless you quit, it is inevitable. You put in the work under the guidance of a mentor for a long enough period of time, you will become what that group represents. The Unicorn Closer Mastermind represents self-actualized selling. Scriptless selling, authentic conversations, no BS, scripted, memorized word tracks, and the internal mastery. Every other part of your life that you need to develop, you need to evolve, which is going to have an impact in all of the areas of your life, including your sales results. If that sounds like something that you truly want to be a part of, you want to implement the spiritual side of selling, you want to make more money, become a better version of yourself, and you want to actually level up all areas of your life equally, then underneath this video, there will be a link for you to join the inside private club of the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, where this is what we train on. This is what we're about. We are not about memorizing word tracks just to supposedly, hopefully, close a deal with an objection handling scripted analogy. We're about, how do I learn to have authentic conversations, make better decisions holistically, level up all areas of my life? Because if you believe, like I believe, like my mentor believes, and like all the members inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind believes, that everything is connected, then if you believe that everything is connected, but you're not holistically working on every part of yourself and your life, then how are you ever going to accomplish your goals? How are you ever going to accomplish big goals? How are you ever going to live the life of your dreams if you know everything is connected, but yet you're only working on this tiny little fraction, which is your, the 20, 30 minutes of the discovery part of a sales call, what to say, when to say it, what tonality, etc. And actually, to summarize, to conclude this, the things that you're actually doing in those 20 minutes, fake word tracks, fake tonality, faking it till you make it, not till you make it, faking it that you want your prospects to act and take action now and invest money while you're not actually doing those things consistently in your life. The little things you're doing in that 20, 30 minutes is sending a massive tsunami of negative frequencies into all the other parts of your life, which is why you might memorize the word track, and whether it closes that one deal or not, you then get low lead flow, other prospects that don't show up, bad show rate. You don't get offered to join better offers, which is what's happening every day inside the mastermind. Is closers are posting that they need a new offer, and then boom, they get on a unicorn offer. You're also finding that sales is really difficult. Your prospects are just not opening up. They're lying to you. They're rationalizing. I would invite you to realize that those things are happening because you are rowing against the current of the spiritual side of sales, which is the things you're doing in your discovery are actually creating those negative other situations. So if you're sick and tired of 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, or if you're sick and tired of working on one tiny part of your life, realizing that you're neglecting all of the other parts of your life, and you do want to be in sales, you do want to master selling, but you want to do it in a holistic way where every part of your life levels up, then as I said before, the Unicorn Closer Mastermind is where that's what we're about. And if you join a place, you will become the average of what is going on in that place. If you want to become the average, probably shouldn't use the word average because there's nothing fucking average about the Unicorn Closer Mastermind. If you want to become the result of that collective consciousness, which is the best self-actualized version of yourself, then the Unicorn Closer Mastermind is where you need to be. So click the link below, watch the video, and then take action. Because how you show up as a prospect is how the spiritual side of sales is going to read you and transmit that message to all of your other prospects, all of the offer owners out there that you want to work for who have a better offer, and every other person in your life. So show up as the prospect that you want to see on your sales calls, and I'll see you on the inside.